Yeah, yeah. Alice Orgy, touchdowns on repeat. Ladies in the end zone, dancing to the beat. Orgies in the air, celebration so sweet. Wolverine pride, can't nobody compete. Game on lock, fourth quarter heat. Orgy busting through, you can't stop his feet. From the 50 to the 10, touchdown complete. Michigan's finest, got him feeling defeat. Cameras flashing, ladies on the field, dancing with Orgy, that's how we keep it real. Victory vibes, no need for the throne, cause when Orgy scores, it's orgies in the zone. Alex Orgy, touchdowns on repeat. Ladies in the end zone, dancing to the beat. Orgies in the air, celebration so sweet. Wolverine pride, can't nobody compete. End zone lit, celebrations alive. Wolverine's taking over, straight up thrive. Orgy, the champ, the ladies by his side. It's a party every time he crosses the line. Alex Orgy, touchdowns on repeat. Ladies in the end zone, dancing to the beat. Orgies in the air, celebration so sweet. Wolverine pride, can't nobody compete. Touchdown stacking, Orgy don't quit. The big house erupting every single bit. Ladies screaming, it's the Orgy zone. Wolverine legend, touchdown throne. Yeah.
You know what's going to be fantastic? When the big house plays that fucking song. When he scores a touchdown in the end zone. And we're like, hey, man, is that one of our songs? That's one of our songs.
That'd be so...
Wouldn't that be something?
Listen, holy shit.
I tagged it all around the internet, so I'd be surprised.
I swear to goodness, I thought like you pulled that from somewhere specific.
Oh, I made that one. Yeah, I made that one.
No, the moment I thought you did, right? Like I was like, all right, here we go.
That's all right. Authentic.
Then you said, yeah, and then you were like, Orgy plays that in the end zone, and blah blah. And I'm like, wait a minute.
That would be fantastic.
Is this actually something that's happened? Oh no, it'd be fantastic. That'd be
cool. It would be awesome.
Cool.
I don't think the school would embrace it.
Hey, I mean, listen.
But I mean, it's PG. It's PG.
Michigan State puts up whatever they so choose.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. You brought up a good point earlier, but what about the band, Florida State band playing while the team was on the field? That was pretty trashy.
So terrible.
I know schools do this, but not that way.
Not
that much.
And then the Cal fans getting their team 2 15-yard penalties for throwing shit on the field.
Well, I have one for you. What about the LSU player that went up to he would think he was going to hand the football to that kid, that South Carolina kid, and that kid gave him the middle finger, and his mom just stood there, whatever. I get it. You get frustrated as a fan, but to let your kid flip off a player, and I don't think the player was like doing anything crazy.
I mean, the fact that the kid flipped off the player, you know, it tells me that like the parent was going to be okay with it. That's not.
Yeah, I feel like that's not the first time.
Because the kid was so okay with doing it on such a massive stage, right?
Oh yeah.
This was like breathing or blinking to that child.
Yeah, it came out quick. It was all bing, there goes the bird.
And whatever. I get your side. I get what you're saying. And I'm on your side. But of course, it doesn't make for good radio chatter, right? On the other side of it, too, with like cancel culture today and everything going on, at least my kid ain't a bitch, right? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Right. Is he really standing up for himself, or is he just?
Hey, listen, I'm just saying.
One of the good friends of the show makes a living doing heckling, so I guess we can't really say much. Shout out Trev's Chirps.
Yeah, Trevi boy. And one of the coolest memes was like that little kid, that soccer kid, giving both birds.
Yeah, that is a meme.
Again, no, I was on your side.
Oh, he's going to be a meme for a long time.
Yeah,
so.
I get it, but I would hope that in that situation, like my child would do that when I wasn't standing next to them, right? Because when I wasn't standing next to them, I can out loud be like, hey, he hangs out with the in-laws a lot.
I can address it to maybe his friends or something. Yeah.
Behind closed doors, I could be like, hell yeah, that's what we're about. When we go back outside, though, this is going to be a lot different.
It's a different conversation going on.
I can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I just thought it was interesting.
To keep the train going, I
Yeah.
haven't looked much up about this, but did you see the news of Colorado this week? And not Deion Sanders just being dirt.
How did all right? Yeah, I don't know if we can find the video, and I don't know if we can play the video because it might be copyright. But
Yeah.
talk about
I
weird.
tell you what. Let's while you find the video, I'm going to talk this out to the audience. I found out something crazy, more or less. We don't know. So if you didn't want it, or don't want it, or didn't want us to use it, just send us a cease and desist order, and we'll take it. We'll take it right out. But until then, it's not like we're making any money off of it. More or less.
Yeah.
We're still in hashtag hobby grind mode, which may change later on. But anywho, to set the mood lighting, apparently in Colorado this week, outside of the play, or maybe it was during the Nebraska week. But anyways, somebody straight drove a truck onto the field.
Yeah, hit and run suspect. Yeah.
Yeah, and the truck more or less looked like he didn't use one of the gateways. It looked like he found his way up on the second concourse. And then was like,
down here.
Was like, yo, can send it, bro. Just sent it on we haven't even gotten to the football side of things yet. This is just happening in the world of college sports this week. I'm starting to believe the reports of Colorado that it's more or less a GTA game. Deep cuts into the.
All right, yeah. Here's the news conference. It looks like he did a couple burnouts, a little few pissies in there when he got in there. There's the crew chief addressing the situation, the state trooper talking about the situation. There's the truck. Oh, damn.
Oh, wow. That truck is screwed, but it wasn't as screwed up as when I saw it in the video.
Oh, yeah. It gets to that point. It's throughout the video here.
Ended up on the 40-yard line, causing 150,000. Damn. Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be going to prison for a little while.
25 years of policing. It's one of the most, and this is Colorado. For him to say this is one of the most interesting, unique things, to negotiate with him for a while.
So there's video. There's a video of the truck. Police officers. It looks like he's.
So Colorado Stadium is just a bowl. Yeah, so he just barreled through the gates and took the ambulance route onto the field with a terribly destroyed vehicle.
Yeah, hit and run, I guess, is what happened. Yeah. 48 years old from Maryland, I believe, is what it was.
Oh, Maryland, hey?
Yeah, that's one way to fill her up. They're out there with shovels taking her down.
Yeah, they got to rip it apart, and then patch that up. They'll have it taken care of in no time.
Oh, yeah, before game day.
They got new pitch coming in.
They got nothing to figure out. But I just don't understand what condemns you to think that's the best place to go. Do you just not know where you're going at that point? Or are you just saying, you know what, F, and I'm getting pulled over. I'm going to prison. I might as well go have a little bit of fun.
To try to put myself in the mindset of that individual. Let's attempt.
Nobody got hurt, but it's just a really stupid thing to do. Really stupid thing to do.
As you were scrolling, I was able to catch bits and pieces. And apparently, throughout getting to the football stadium, he almost hit quite a few people, almost caused quite a bit of destruction. Okay. I'm in a road rage incident. I'm generally a good person. All right. But I'm on the road. I'm having a bad day.
Yep.
Somebody cuts me off. Something happens. Hit and run. I don't know that portion of the story, so I could be completely off-putting at this part. But bad day gets me into the hit and run, whether it was my fault or not. Now I'm just angry, and I'm on the run. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention, and I got scared, and I was on the run.
Yeah.
So now that I'm on the run, now I'm in a hairball situation. and I'm angry and I'm not thinking clearly, and this not thinking clearly then like forces me to have to swerve. I'm trying to hit people. Then all of a sudden, like this light clicks on, and I'm like, listen, I'm screwed anyways. If I'm gonna stop, I might as well make the news. Let's go.
But
Let's go check out Colorado's football
sure,
stadium.
yeah. I think this is just a snowball effect that random shit happened and it
You
just
see what
bing,
I'm
bing,
saying?
bing, bing,
Like
bing. Yeah, more
it
things
was just
happen.
random, and like it was like, listen, this is the safest spot for me to be that guy. Maybe I'll get a book or something out of this later on. Like I'm screwed already.
Well, you know
The
for sure
least
you're going to
amount
be a
of
t-shirt.
damage to let me do the least amount of damage to humans while maximizing my national attention. I might as well. Let's rock it out, baby. I'm here. I'm in it to win it.
But apparently it still didn't make the front page of the news because the team itself made the news more than the what happened
Then
inside the
Nebraska
stadium
ended
and
up
what
laying a
happened
stinker.
outside of the stadium.
Yeah, I ended up randomly hearing about this from a beat writer on a radio show from Colorado, whose like main job over the last few years has been Colorado football, and unfortunately, his words, unfortunately, Deion came into the picture now.
We'll take it a little bit step further. So a lot of the fans are starting to murmur and speak out and say that Deion Sanders might have been the worst thing that happened to their program, not the best thing. Because they might be better off without him had he not came because of all the negative publicity and the things that are around that team.
This reminds me of a movie scenario where
probably a couple of them.
This individual was voted in as the youngest mayor of the town in its history. I think he was like 18 years old. And he ended up spending the entire town's fiscal year budget on an ice festival that bankrupted the city. And it was like super flashy and super cool. And then after the initial flash, the pain and like the buildup, right? It was like, hey, all you have to do is keep giving me hundreds of dollars and I'll give you $1 million.
Right.
Okay. There's never a time though when I told you I was going to give you that $1 million. And it feels like the same scenario there in good old Colorado. You can't fault him for being a dad, but as a football fan, as a football fanatic, yeah, what the hell was Colorado thinking? We are on board with FSU at this point, hiring Novell over Deion.
Yeah. Even though they're 0-3, they're still in a much better situation.
If you played 3 powerhouse teams like they did, you'd be 0-3 also, bro. That's what Norvell said today in the press conference, actually.
Oh, you were like powerhouse teams. And I'm like, I don't ever think Georgia Tech and them as powerhouses. I understand what he's saying. But man, they fell flat on their face, but not quite as much as Colorado did. Did you read the thing, though? The GTA thing came back to this, Charles. And you talked about this last year. You said they're walking around puffing their chest like they're in Alabama or a Georgia when they haven't won a goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And the argument at time to come back is, well, it's confidence, not cockiness at times, can be confused with confidence, but cockiness can be there under the mask of confidence. And that's what we have in this situation.
Yeah.
Wins should be humbling for them, not expected. They walk around after a win expecting to win. In the transfer portal era, a team like Colorado State is going to be good once every 3 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're going to have a handful of good players that have grown in the system that weren't seen somewhere else. And they're going to make some good plays against a team's caliber like Colorado. And you'll have a game like we had last year. But for the most part, you're going to have games like you had this year. It's just playing against Rutgers in the Big Ten, right? Every once in a while, Rutgers has a good football team because of lineage.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere deep in the family went to Rutgers, and that's why my child's in Rutgers, but he wins a championship in Alabama type shit, right?
Yeah.
Colorado is not where you go to transfer. And it's not about the coaching to me, or it's about the football to me. As much as we talk about everything else when it comes to Colorado that isn't football. And that's, I think, what the bottom line is with Colorado. And I believe that's why most of the country now is on board with the rest of us fanatics where we've been. Is honestly the only good thing that happens to Colorado is when they lose anymore. And that's just because we don't have to hear them for the next week. Instagram's going to be pretty boring. Instagram's going to be pretty sufferable.
Oh man, I follow him, but I don't really follow what he posts.
Yeah, we have to because of the world we live in right now.
But we went through the schedule and you picked all the games, and they literally are not going to be favored in another game this year. Colorado State was the last game they were favored in. They will not be favored throughout the rest of the season.
Now, on the other side of this, teams that I think, let's talk about Nebraska for a minute.
The revitalization of Nebraska? Yeah, we can talk about this.
See, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, Matt Rule, bringing back Nebraska football.
Matt Rule is really nice, and there's a great environment, and the social media crew in Nebraska is doing really, really
Who
well.
would have ever thought that a matchup with Illinois in Nebraska would be this exciting this week? This might be the game of the week in the Big Ten. They're two ranked
Illinois
teams.
Coming off of a win against Central Michigan, 30-9. But is the hype too soon with Nebraska? I guess that's my biggest question with this, because, bro, it wasn't a few less than a moon cycle back.
They could potentially be going in
Nebraska.
They could potentially be going into Ohio State undefeated at 7-0, and Ohio State probably be number 2 in the country behind maybe Texas or Alabama, maybe, or Georgia. Georgia's probably not looking as great. It's pretty much down to Texas and Ohio State as far as the top 2 teams. But yeah, they could be a top 10 team heading into Ohio State, but that's Ohio State is a completely different animal than anybody else they've played this season or are going to play.
21 million. 20 million different. Yeah. Or about 17 million different.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they've got Illinois coming up. If Nebraska is who I think they are, this is going to be a really good game. If Nebraska is who people are portraying them to be right now, I think Nebraska blows out Illinois. I don't think it's going to be a good game.
They have a decent defense. They've always had a pretty decent defense. Nebraska's defense has never really been the question. Their offense, the last few years, has always been a question mark. They can score a little bit, but then they can't keep scoring. They turn the ball over. It's always been a quarterback issue. Yes, it's too young. They're too young to say that a freshman quarterback is always going to make mistakes.
They've only given up 20 points 3 games.
Yeah.
UTEP, Colorado, and Northern Iowa, University of Northern Iowa. Yeah. So they got Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana, then Ohio State, and then finishes UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, Iowa.
They could potentially finish the season with 2 losses. They could win the West.
Is it possible for Nebraska to finish with 1 loss?
Is it possible? Yes, it's possible.
Wisconsin lost their quarterback. ACL sprain or tear. He's done. He's gone.
It would be USC would be the other team because it's a road game for him at the Rose Bowl, which isn't going to be easy.
Nebraska's at home, and then Iowa's at home.
Yeah.
Have we?
No, Iowa's on the road as well. It's a night game, so that'll be tough too. Iowa's always tough at night.
Oh yeah, I meant Iowa at Iowa.
Their 3 toughest games are Ohio State, USC, and Iowa, and they're all on the road. So that doesn't bode well. You're not going to win all 3 of those more than likely. But if you win 2 out of 3 of those,
do we expect USC to be 11 or better at this point in the season in November?
In November, I think yes, because I believe the teams are all going to beat up on each other. USC's probably going to have maybe 1 loss by November.
USC is looking better than Oregon up until this week.
Yeah. They're more consistent for sure. Offensively, they're consistent. Defensively, they've got some decent players.
I'm worried about.
It's coaching for me. Coaching for me is the question mark.
I don't think Nebraska's going to go one loss. I think
No, I
it's
don't think so
Ohio
either. I think
State,
maybe two or
USC.
three
Yeah,
losses.
I think 3 losses. Yeah, I think with Iowa playing the way they are, you're going to get. I think I just Nebraska's got such a huge fan base.
Yeah.
From volleyball, isn't Nebraska the school that put 50,000 in the stands for a volleyball
Yeah.
match, a
How
women's volleyball match?
yeah. How about Indiana welcoming UCLA last week into the Big Ten with a 42-13 beatdown?
I saw that. I saw that. I saw
Oh,
that.
that was funny.
Is Chip Kelly? Did Chip Kelly laugh, or did Chip Kelly feel like I made the right decision?
I'm assuming he's probably thinking he made the right decision because, he's with Ohio State now, so
Well, I
he
mean, and
doesn't
then
have to deal with it. So
after that ass whooping, yeah.
yeah.
Let's check on what were all the schools that came in again now. And so you had
Oh,
USC.
so Washington got freaking taken back
They
to the
got
woodshed by Washington State.
Washington
Yes.
State, yeah. And what was that? The
Wisconsin.
108th meeting, or I think
Yeah,
108th or
it was a
16th?
monumental one. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you've got
Washington.
USC in Oregon.
Washington
So
State.
UCLA, Washington, USC,
24-19.
Oregon.
Yeah. And did Washington State go into Washington and do that? I think that's the coolest part about it. Beating Prairie
yes, they were at
View
home.
A&M. Sweet. Michigan State beating Prairie View A&M 40-0. Well done. I wonder how much they paid Prairie View A&M.
The two teams that they actually should have lost the first game to Florida Atlantic if it wasn't for Florida Atlantic throwing the interception there to when they were driving. They probably would have lost 17-16. Maryland is one of those teams you never know what the hell they're going to do. You never know who they are. One week they can score 45, the next week they score 3 points. Michigan State is probably going to get waxed by Boston College this week.
Michigan. Yeah, I agree with you. I was laughing. They probably paid that Prairie school over $1 million to come in and get their ass kicked.
So
you got to pay for wins nowadays, and
Prairie View.
That's something dangerous. That's something dangerous to look at. By the way, whole Florida State scenario, moving on with the schedule, and depending on what happens with schools like Michigan, Oregon, and USC. If the playoff committee doesn't look at a 3 and 4 loss strength of schedule team performance over a 2-loss paid for win schedule, we'll never see these games again. Like the Michigan Texas game before the playoffs, there'll be no point, and we'll never see them. So we'll literally only see Michigan playing teams like Fresno State from week 1 until the playoffs, because it's all about how you beat the teams like that, not how you got beat or how you played in strength of schedule games. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's gonna affect a lot of different things, and I can also see a team like that saying, "Hey, we're gonna drop one of these other schools that we've had a reputation with, like maybe Ohio State drops in Ohio and then picks up like a smaller tier team, still a team that they can beat the crap out of, but a team that maybe is a little more prestigious because it looks a little better on the resume when we still beat them 45-0."
But that's what I'm getting at. That we're about to get that answer.
Yeah, we're going to.
Year.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 or 4 schools that at the beginning of the year, like Oregon, at the beginning of the year, if they just play cakewalk schools, they're projected into the playoffs, right? Like it didn't matter, right? But now,
well, let's break it down right here.
Now that they're playing other schools or teams like USC or, man, I can't, Texas being one of them. Texas looks really good. It's funny to me. It'll be funny to me, right? Because I guess one school in particular this year would be Michigan, right? Because we're playing like Texas.
Yeah, I'm going to break it down here for a second.
Oregon, USC, Washington, Ohio State. Next year, what if we see us playing teams like Marist and Virginia Lynchburg? Presbyterian beat Virginia Lynchburg 52-0. We'll be seeing teams like Virginia Lynchburg all season until the playoffs.
At one
Did you have
point, Michigan would have had they all the teams played and not lost this last 3 weeks, had
Yeah.
7 out of their 12 teams that they played were ranked in the top 25. That's SEC type scheduling, and that's not easy.
Right.
Now there's still 5. Texas was.
This is also a schedule built.
This is a
and
very
created
difficult
by-
schedule,
It's
to be
a
honest.
schedule built and created by somebody who planned to be here, but the winds changed direction and things went otherwise.
The plan was always to get a Texas. The Texas one is actually cool. I really like that they did that. They get rid of one of those crappy teams and
Because,
play
like-
somebody.
Like the Northern Illinois and Notre Dame game specifically. Neither
Yeah.
AD nor head coach, while at Notre Dame, or currently at Notre Dame now, was at Notre Dame when this game was scheduled.
Right.
So we're in a schedule era right now that was more or less created by the mind of Harbaugh.
You want to break this down? Michigan's only 2 victories are the only teams' losses that the teams that they played. Right? So both those teams are 2-1. Fresno State's 2-1, by the way. Fresno State just won 48-0 last week versus New Mexico State. So Fresno State is not they're supposed to win their conference, for God's sakes.
Yeah, this was a Harbaugh built schedule for
And
a
I believe
Harbaugh made team.
I believe Arkansas State as well is supposed to win their conference as well. But it is what it is. We're at the mercy of waiting for this to play out, see what happens at the end of the season. Like I told you, I said, I'm all about the orgies in the end zone.
Yes,
We got the orgies in the end zone.
We'll jump on Michigan right now. They can absolutely win against USC this week. It's got to come down to the pass defense, which has been terrible.
And that
Third
run
down
game
defense,
has to be consistent
third
run
down.
game. Yep.
And the turnover battle, of course, which I don't understand.
Well, we'll break it down right now, Charles. What do you think
goodness.
USC's weakness is?
I have no idea right now.
So they beat Utah State 48-0, LSU 27-20. Louis, well, these
even looked it up yet. Go ahead, keep going. Sorry.
These are their last 2 games or whatever.
Yeah.
So they beat LSU 27-20, which that doesn't really look that great anymore after watching LSU almost lose to South Carolina. Utah State is not the same Utah State team that we're used to seeing. I think they're 1-2. Quarterback is 48-62 for 600 yards and only 2 touchdowns. Their running back, 29 carries, $171. I would say their run defense is probably going to be their weakness versus Michigan. Michigan has got has one of the bigger offensive lines in college football. Maybe not the most talented like we had in the past, but
USC's quarterback, just the picture I've
did
got
you
up
see?
right now,
Yes,
dude,
did I tell you? He looks like he didn't comb his fucking hair.
Yeah, he looks like that brother off of
Step Brothers.
Wedding
Not
Crashers.
Wedding Crashers.
Crashers.
Like he doesn't comb his I'm gonna go paint. You're gonna go paint. Yeah, you guys know what we're talking about.
Nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like a frat kid that just got woken up off the couch and said, "Get the fuck out of here! You're not part of this frat. Rush week's over, bitch."
They got a tight end doing work right now. It looks like.
Is that McCree?
Yeah.
Who also looks like he just woke the fuck up off the couch.
Yeah, and Hudson. Yeah, those two look like twins. What the fuck's going on in California?
California's a weird place. Weird place.
I don't know, man. I think the big house is an environment that
it's an advantage for sure for Michigan to be playing at home in this game for sure.
Yeah, I say that, but the way Texas beat our ass, dude, fuck it. Just and then the way we played last week.
It's not very reassuring to say. I'm not very confident in saying that Michigan is going to blow anybody out anymore. That's just that. Unfortunately, that's not something that we can say this year. Do we think they're going to win? Yeah, but man, it could be ugly. It could be ugly.
For Michigan to win these games, we are going to need breakdown on their offense
Yeah.
So deflections, overthrows, sacks, and fumbles. Like we're going to need a handful of those. Not a handful each, just a handful. Special teams is going to have to be elite, and we're going to have to hold on to the ball. I just don't see us doing that this year, and it is what it is. This is the last year of it. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a bad dream when it comes to Michigan football, to be honest with you, because you don't want to be too negative, but at the same time, you just got to read the writing on the wall. We're a good team, but we're not a great team, and that is it's. How
Yeah,
hard
they
was
are.
it going to be to following up Team 144? Yeah,
It was going to
Team
be almost
145 was
impossible.
always
Yeah.
going to be, and that's not Team 145's fault, to be honest with you.
No.
That's the top's fault. That's the top's fault. You didn't spend any money in the transfer portal, not a damn thing. You
No,
did
but they
everything you
keep
could to
they
keep
keep talking
players.
about this bullshit too, like saying that they're going to spend money, saying that they got the collective. That's
Yeah,
what
well, I
irritates
mean, that's
me.
at 28. You got 28 milli or 23 or 28 milli set aside for next year. It's going to be there.
Is it almost like they knew that they weren't going to be able to get some of these players, so they're like, you know what, let's just bank a bunch of money and we'll get the best players next year.
I don't think that was the case at all. The kids just followed the money.
Well,
Apparently,
no, but that's what I mean.
No, it was as easy as just, hey, what was Ohio State giving you? We'll give you $1 more. All right. Like, from my understanding, the way Ohio State pulled from that pool, like they were just.
Well, no, I understand that. What I'm saying is they knew Ohio State was going to do this. Why compete with them financially when Ohio State's going to basically put them, if they don't win the national championship? Which one of those guys next year is going to want to give that amount of money if they're not going to win? They're not going to get that 20 million again next year. I can almost guarantee you that. They're not going to keep forking out 20 million a year. That's insane.
I see that side of it, and I don't disagree with you. I'm sitting on the other side where if Ohio State's giving you $10, I'm giving you 15. And now you're either choosing Ohio State because you don't like Michigan, or you're taking the money, which is exactly what I think you would do.
At some point, it is about taking the money. We're in that now. It's over. There's no free to play anymore. That Michigan's national championship was the last one of it.
That's what I'm saying. That's all Ohio State did this year.
Yeah,
and just Michigan didn't play. If you tell me that, hey, we caught wind that Ohio State was going to break the bank, and we didn't know what the bank was, I can see that, right? Okay, the bank's 20 milli, right? Okay. Now we know 23 to 28 milli is where we're going to need to be next year. And at the end of next year's college football free agency, hashtag transfer portal.
Yeah. Transfer agency.
We'll see what the new salary cap is. Because more or less, that's just what it is, right?
We need to do that next year. We need it next. We'll start the season at the end of the year. We'll find out who's going to be transferring, and we'll put a number above their head and what we think they're going to go for, what team they're going to go to, and it's going to be a handful, like 5-6 teams. It's going to be Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame.
That's where I think Michigan might lose or have to spend more, but would never really be able to match. Right? Because when you have a school, okay, so if I'm a baller, right, and I love Michigan, man, I do. I love the football, Michigan. I love the stadium. But the moment I went to visit the stadium and you had me doing those fucking stupid left turns, and then Texas was like, yo, check out this facility along with all this oil money and we're tax-free, I'm going to Texas A&M. And it's nothing against Michigan. So that, at times, I think is going to have a huge effect on football. I think Alabama getting a new $20 million football complex.
Michigan is in the top 3, I believe, as far as their weight room and stuff goes. I don't think anybody even comes close.
Again, when it comes to the program and the facilities on the school, they're second to almost none.
Well, see, they are
turns, bro.
They're supposed to put this collective together, and it's supposed to be the largest one in college football. Is what they said. They keep saying this over and over again. I don't know where
Yeah,
the
the
money's
numbers.
coming from, but that doesn't
No,
mean for all time. It just maybe, like you said, maybe next year they're going to spend 28 million instead of 20 like Ohio State did.
there is no regulate. Okay, so let me ask you this: with no regulated salary cap, how do you know how much to spend next year?
You don't until you find out what 20 million got Ohio State at.
I don't know if our conversations are getting crossed. I feel like there's some confusion in a way. I think this year in general, going back to, I don't know how much money to spend this year. And with the allegations looming, it's probably best that we just hang out.
Oh,
Instead
for
of
sure.
spending
It's
all the,
because they didn't know
instead
what
of
was going to
spending all this
happen.
money,
They didn't
right,
know what the
right.
NCAA was going to
But
do. Why spend $23 million
you and I,
if you're going to be banned from competing
right.
for a championship?
But I guess where I'm also getting confused is you and I have both reported on this show in other episodes that the Michigan Collective, I can't remember the exact number, has 23 or 28 million.
Yeah, they've got
for next year.
Yeah, there's no reason. Yeah.
So there should be no question in your mind that Michigan isn't spending money next year. Like we're spending money next year.
Yeah, I believe it. Now that they know that the hammer didn't come, so I think now now they know.
I think it was 28 million actually.
Yeah.
They're spending money now. Okay, so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to that money being spent, it doesn't matter how beautiful the fucking weight room is in Michigan when I don't have to deal with taxes or cold weather at Texas A&M. And Texas A&M is going to give me just as much money. That's what I was saying.
Maybe
Michigan's going to
you talk to a lot of athletes. If you watch a lot of them, they don't really care about the weather. As a matter of fact, a lot of them like playing in the cold. I don't think that weather has as much of a factor on it as we think it does. Maybe for other things like women and beaches and being able to but those players are the players that aren't going to be in the NFL anyway, that are going to be making money. They're just there in college to make the money.
It's hilarious to me when you hear an SEC player who's asked about going up and playing in the cold one time if it bothers them, and they go, no, playing in the cold doesn't bother me. Then why are you playing at Kentucky?
There's a reason why he's at Kentucky too. We know, Charles, we know money talks and it makes people walk as well. So
I'm just adding to that portion of the conversation. Weather has a huge listen. If you're telling me that I've got a choice of December in Michigan, Detroit or Ann Arbor, Michigan, or wherever the hell Texas A&M is, and listen, as much as you love building snowmen, how are you passing up Texas tax-free?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the best players are only the ones from the South. That's a weird thing to say.
I don't give a fuck if this could be a guy coming from Europe. I'm saying Michigan and Texas A&M are on the table. It's the same amount of money.
Yeah, they went to Ohio State and the weather's exactly the same. So I guess it doesn't make any sense, I guess. They got top tier talent going there.
Was Texas A&M and Ohio State bidding on the same players for the
yes,
exact same money?
quite a few of them they were. It was down between them and Texas.
Players went
Alabama.
to Ohio State because they paid them more.
Yes, and that's what's going to happen next year.
Okay, so Texas A&M was not matching Ohio State.
It's going to be Texas money.
So in this scenario that I was trying to build in this scenario, right? Michigan's giving you $10 and Texas A&M is giving you $10, right? Take the fandom out of it, bro. Where are you going?
Nobody's going to Texas A&M because they suck anyway. So Texas. Now, you want to talk about Texas? We'll talk about Texas. I don't want to talk about Texas A&M.
What do you mean, dude?
And by the way, Texas and A&M have been trash for the last how many years? This is the first year that Texas is actually doing anything. Last year and this year, they were terrible for how long?
The college football of the past is gone. Yeah, they may have.
No. How could you say that? They just started being able to pay them last year. What do you mean it's been done?
No, I said it's gone.
Yeah.
The college football of the past is gone.
I know, but we got the money to compete with them now, so the playing field should be leveled out next season because of all the money.
I guess we'll see. I'm telling you right now, when it comes to $3 million tax free or $3 million with Michigan tax, and I'm a young punk kid, I'm more often than not we're gonna go tax free. We're talking about money now. It's $3 million tax free is a hell of a lot better than $3 million tax.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff down in Texas though that's
Josh
changing right
Jacobs
now. A lot of stuff
for
is changing in Texas. It's not as luxurious and nice as it used to be. We know a couple people who live there that probably could tell you that too. It's yeah, the tax thing definitely makes a huge difference. You can't argue that at all. These players, they have to have lawyers. You got to have somebody telling them, "Hey, man, exactly like what you said." And I believe there's other states too that is tax free. I don't think Texas isn't the only one. I believe there's 8 or 9 of them, if I remember correctly. I never remember which ones they are, which
Yeah.
ones. But yeah, you 100%, Charles. If it doesn't matter, anybody in Texas, it could be the Texas State Aggies or whatever, and they could be like, "Hey, man, we'll give you $3.5 million to come and you can be the name of our program. You be our starting quarterback." And he says, "All right, because next year I'll take the money and I'll just transfer out to a big name school." Like you said, yeah, they'll take the money, 100%.
As a Michigan fan, I would love to believe, but it's the college world we've walked into.
I wonder if they're going
I
to
don't
find
know,
a
it's
way
not-
for these athletes though to maybe pay them away now that they don't get hit with this huge. I know it's impossible because of the way the government works, but it's like it would really help these kids out if maybe the money, I don't know. I know there's just no way around it because of the state that you're in. It sucks.
Oh, the
And
taxes
unfortunate.
portion of it?
Yeah, the tax
It is what
portion.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is. This is the new structure of college football.
Yeah.
We're
mean-
not going to be battling for
This is why states like Illinois and New York are going to suffer big time for this because their
Yeah,
tax rate's
oh,
like freaking almost
absolutely.
double what everybody else is.
absolutely. You're not going to be picking from the top tier anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to be picking from the bottom top tier, which is more or less once schools like Texas and Georgia and Alabama and
Yeah, you're
once
gonna
those
have-
roster spots are filled, you will have kids who still pick Michigan or Ohio State or USC. But when you have you and I are discussing now, you just as a human being, when these options are based in front of you, even $10 in Michigan is not going to be more than $7 in Texas or one of those other states. And that's
Well,
just the bottom line.
Even putting it this way, like you were saying, your bottom tier, your middle tier programs now are the teams that used to be competing for national championships, like Clemson.
Yeah.
Clemson does not use the transfer portal, and they won't spend money. Same thing with Oklahoma. These teams used to compete for national championships. They're not going to do that
Washington
anymore.
didn't spend any
Washington,
money.
yeah.
You-
I mean,
you have
Oregon
to
is.
go and-
Oregon's got Nike money. They're gonna spend money. They're not going to be hurting it anytime soon. But yeah, I get that. All these blue bloods like Ole Miss. That's why Ole Miss is coming back.
It does leave the door open for every once in a while. Schools like Princeton and Harvard.
Yeah, you get a
to
school
put
every now and then.
together
Yeah,
a private alumni collective.
yeah.
And hey, let's shoot
Hey,
for an Natty.
hey, $50 million over the course of four years.
yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Let's
Go
shoot
balls
for
to
a
the
Natty.
walls.
Let's shoot. Wow, 50.
Because Stanford won one at one point, so why can't they?
Stanford, that was the old college. This is the
No, I
they can
understand that,
definitely-
but I'm saying just because you're smart doesn't mean you can't go to a prestigious school and play football. So
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, besides that point, again, yeah, for real. But
I
when it
know what
comes
you're
to-
saying. There's lots of smart athletes, but I'm saying they're going to they have to get a collective because the stringent rules
Okay,
are to
so
get into
the-
freaking
the-
Harvard
well,
and Yale.
Yes,
It's not
but-
that
but
easy, you know.
Okay, but my theory behind this is a bunch of the smart rich fuckers got together and went, "Hey, let's buy a football team and try." to
Yeah,
win a
that's what
natty
I'm
this
saying
year.
too. I said
We
$50
don't
million.
need-
Go
yeah,
for
we
it.
We don't need these 4.0 motherfuckers this year. Let's go out and get some solid 2.8, 3.2 motherfuckers and win us a natty,
Come on,
right?
well,
Like,
a
come
whole
on.
team full of dum dums.
You're trying to get us in trouble.
Well, Harvard, I don't really give a shit. I can't. I never could have got in there, so I don't really care. It is what it is. It's just
Sometimes them road signs aren't telling us what road we're going down to.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
awesome.
Those kind of
But,
people don't listen to us anyway, so it's fine.
But that's the type of collective that, I mean, that's what the collective has. That's what the collective brings to the table.
Yeah.
So as much as, yeah, that's cool. A 12-team playoff, that's awesome. But it's really going to be about a 2 or 3 team playoff. Like,
You
that's never
think
really what it's going to come down to.
you think one of those teams gets in there this year?
What's that?
One of those teams sneaks in the 12 teams. You think like a UCF or any of those? You don't think a UCF makes it in the Big 12?
No, I don't think so. Would I be shocked if it happened? No, because it's football and I've been watching it for a really long time.
I guess the only one that has a chance is probably Northern Illinois because they play NC State still. That's the toughest team they play, but they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. Well, Notre Dame isn't a good win. Even if Notre Dame turns the table.
Well, they keep saying Notre Dame has a chance to get in. How the fuck does Notre Dame have a chance to get in? A lot of bad things need to happen.
It's probably like a 5 or 6% chance, maybe. I don't know. Now the reason I'm saying no to your question more specifically is because with the collective, we will know when a school like what we're talking about is making a push. Because at the end of the college football free agency, #transfer portal, the numbers will come out and all of a sudden it'll be like, yo, Harvard spent $24 million this year.
Yeah.
And you start and people start following the players and it's holy shit. Harvard's going to make a massive push for the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
And you look at their schedule and it's holy cow, that looks great. And
they're going to be playing nobody.
But and when they get into the 12-team playoff as like a 6 or a 7,
yeah,
no big deal because they're really like the number 1, 2, or 3 team in the country on paper, and they just demolish the fucking playoffs, and it's a story everyone loves because it's Harvard, and
you know what the crazy thing is?
Alabama or Georgia.
I can't even wrap my head around that happening, but the way that you just said it makes me like I'm gonna dream about it tonight. Dream about Harvard winning a national championship.
The collective allows this type of atmosphere.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes.
You are never gonna have all. Okay, so what teams that aren't ever gonna spend any money? Your military academy, right?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that'll be a big red flag if that ever happens.
And Clemson. Everyone else spent money.
Yeah, everybody else spent
Army, Navy, Air Force, nope, and Clemson.
Nope. And Clemson.
So everyone's doing it. It's just a matter of when are you gonna pull the trigger? Like when are you, as the alumni, going to group up collectively and throw in a few extra millies and try to put an addy on that table?
Yeah,
and that's what we're gonna see. That I think is the most exciting thing.
What do you think a national championship is worth?
Right now, 20 million. Because that's what Ohio State spent to try and get.
Michigan won one without spending all that money. What do you think it's worth? What do you think they revenue wise? What do you think that brought in last year?
Oh God, I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
I want to know that too. I just want. I know it doesn't. I know that isn't going to reflect how much money they're going to spend next year. No. I'm just curious how much we believe.
Yeah, I was going to say it has absolutely nothing to do with
it. No, if that's the way that it worked, to be like every team every year they would have a hell of a bankroll.
Yeah, the University of Michigan is not spending any money on this collective. Period.
No.
So for our listeners, not to get any of that screwed up. It doesn't matter how much money we made on the national championship. None of that goes towards anything.
But the way that you listen to people comment on things, you would think that they think that's how it works. But
yeah,
it's hard sometimes. Yeah,
absolutely not how it works. Hold on a second. My puppies. Can you run through the Michigan running backs real quick? We were having an interesting conversation about that.
Oh yeah, Michigan running backs. Yes, sir. Get to our game of the week in the Big Ten. Game of the week in the Big Ten: Michigan USC, 2:30 Saturday afternoon.
All right.
So Michigan is led in the backfield. Khalil Mullings, 36 carries, 270 yards. Donovan Edwards, also 36 carries. Like you said, a split backfield, 36 carries, 150. Alex Orgy coming in with 10 carries in number 3 with 58 yards. Benjamin Hall, 6 carries. Samaj Morgan, 2 for 22. And Davis Warren, 8 for 0 yards. Yeah, it's a weird thing, Charles. The Cleo Mullings long is 38. The longest run that Donovan Edwards had this season, 12 yards.
And the thing that frustrates me is I remember the Mullins 38 run, and I was thinking to myself, man, if that was Edwards, he would have been gone. Right. And that was just it wasn't a run, it wasn't a cut that Mullins did, it wasn't anything. It was literally just a beautiful hole opened up by the offense, and it was a running back that hit the hole beautifully, untouched, got to the sideline untouched, and then got caught because he wasn't as fast. And I guess my questioning with this, Edwards is a dude, man. He's a great dude. He is an amazing personality. But I really wish that he would have just went to the NFL. Right, for him to come back this season and split carries with 36 and 30, I must be seeing something different here, right? Because it's the only reason Edwards wasn't the guy last year is because Corum came back. Edwards came back to be our Corum this year. And it's not like he can't. Edwards has performed in big game after big game and moment after moment. Explain this 36-36 split carry thing with me.
It all comes down to production. They both have 36 carries. Donovan Edwards only has 150 yards. Mullins has 270.
Right.
He averages almost 8 yards a carry. Mullins does. So we know the better running back this year. There's no question.
Now, just looking at those paper stats, I don't disagree with you. But let's say Mullins has 15 carries and those other 11 carries went to Edwards. How many yards would Edwards have? And would that big break yard would have been a touchdown? So instead of it being 38, it's a bunch of woulda, coulda, shouldas that don't sit with me. What that? I guess my question is,
he's had 36 chances to break one, and he hasn't done it. You had 36 chances to break one and the biggest one he broke was for 12 yards. You can't just keep giving it. Obviously, there's something wrong with Edwards. From what I'm thinking, is that why can Mullings get through the line, but Edwards can't? There's got to be a reason for it. Maybe he's not healthy.
Thinking back situationally again, that's the one run that blows all this stat out is that 38-yard run that we talked about to start.
Take the 38-yard run out. He still has 80 more rushing yards than him.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at it differently. I think if Edwards had 50 carries, he'd have over 300 yards a different average and had more opportunities for the breaks, which is something he had, was
always Edwards was never the first option. Even last year, I don't know if he was actually all healthy last year either.
Edwards wasn't going to be the first option when you have Blake Corum.
No, but I don't even think he was the number 2 last year. I thought that last year Mullins was in there quite a bit.
You'll have to pull the stats up. Mullins was in, but no, Edwards was the solid number 2.
Last year,
I think the crazy thing is that it took Edwards 8 games to get a touchdown.
Yeah,
that was one of the things. What's going on in practice?
Yeah, you don't know.
We go from Donovan Edwards being great and deciding to come back this year, and now we're just comfortable with him being a terrible running back, and Mullins is just the better running back.
I wouldn't say he's a terrible running back, but there's a lot of things on the field. Is it effort? Is Mullins giving more effort? Is he giving 100%? And maybe Edwards is only giving 80. Maybe in practice, that's what it is. They're going to play the guy who's given 110% over the guy that's given 75, 80 because he thinks he's expected to do it.
Is there things happening in
we don't know, I guess.
Running back battle for position, RB1, RB2.
It's possible. It's only 2 weeks into this.
I guess
3 weeks into the season.
The questions are happening and coming up because of the performance.
I think it's because the quarterback's been that bad.
It's befuddling to me that I guess you just have all this time to play and you have a guy with 6 interceptions, 444 yards, 66 completion percentage. And we've decided to go with the guy who, when he comes in, has only ever ran 3 for 6, 50. He's basically Anthony Richardson, just less or more. Who knows? As a Michigan fan, hopefully more.
Yeah, but you can't throw the ball. He threw the ball right. 2 guys. Like, you can't just throw the ball to people. Like, he's a great story. Warren is a great story for Warren, but he wouldn't start on any team in the Big Ten. So why is he starting on Michigan? To be honest, Tuttle's probably the best quarterback that they have on the roster right now, and he's hurt. He's never healthy. At least Tuttle had 400-yard
ability,
games.
Best ability is availability.
That's what Orgy is. Orgy's a friggin' monster. Good luck taking him down. They have Denegal too. They got Denegal too. He's a huge running Denegal. If any of the quarterbacks that you would say are Anthony Richardson, it's Denegal, because that guy, I think he's 6'7", 6'6", 240 pounds. He's a freaking monster.
Alex is 6'3", 235.
Here's the thing. If Orgy gets out in the open, he does get around the corner. It's college football. So if you can get around the corner and you're the fastest guy in the field, you can score a touchdown. It's just all about getting, no matter who Michigan has at quarterback, that's not going to be a winging it down the field. They're not going to be airing it out. It's not going to be an air raid. So I guess that their running team, they know that. So if he throws 15 times a game, and he throws an interception, throws a touchdown, it's not any different to what they were getting with Warren. And if he does suck, they'll probably go back to Warren anyway. But until then, I want to see Orgies in the end zone. I want to see him run the ball up the gut. I want to see him run around the corner. I want to see him hand it off. I want to see touchdowns. I don't care. I want to just see him win. If they come out and they beat USC, I'll be happy. I guess that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, definitely.
People are sick of watching a guy throw 15 out of 18 and the 3 incompletions are all interceptions, and that happens every week. So I think people were sick of that. Michigan has never been known for a school that throws a lot of interceptions. They've always took care of the football. Turnovers are something you can't have. Yeah, I think that's why he got benched.
The years before Jim Harbaugh are still fresh in my mind. So I don't know. I had more hope for Sherrone Moore, but it's clear to me he's
in over his head.
He cares more about being a friend than being a coach.
Yeah, I think that's the problem too. I think he waited too long to bench him. Warren could have still been the starter, but maybe in the game when he's struggling, you take him out, you let him sit on the sidelines, reevaluate what's going on the field, and you just keep running the ball. You were pounding the ball down their throat. Just keep pounding the ball and let that offensive line be what it is. You guys regroup, regather yourself. And maybe not throw those passes, because there was honestly a couple of those times they threw the ball. I think it was 2nd and 6. One of them was like 3rd and 3. They could have probably ran for a first down. But that's me. That's me as a fan thinking that we can just beat the hell out of everybody because we did it last year against Penn State. It's me as a fan. Like you said, you got to be able to separate those things. And obviously as the coach, he's struggling to be able to do that. But
yeah, I just...
Charles, we know we have what we have at Michigan at quarterback. You've got a redshirt freshman who already, his parents came out flat out and said he's not playing, even if he's redshirted and he's allowed to play 4 games. He ain't playing because we're not risking him getting hurt, because they assume that this dude is a straight up blue blood, going to be in the NFL quarterback. I'm like, how do you know that without playing? How do you know you're going to be in the NFL? That's what bothers me. He wants to redshirt. It has nothing to do with him not being ready. He just didn't want to play. And that makes me think that maybe he's going to transfer out of Michigan next year. I mean, if he doesn't transfer out, he's going to be the starter. Unless they transfer in, unless it was Harbaugh's plan all along to keep getting quarterback transfers. All these quarterbacks Michigan has on the roster, Warren, Denegal, I believe Orgy might have been recruited. Tuttle definitely was a backup somewhere. I think he came from Indiana. He's on
an experienced transfer who adds depth to the roster.
Jack, what you got going on there?
How can you be a transfer, and how can you be an experienced transfer and be redshirted?
Who's this?
That's the person you were talking about, Jack Tuttle.
I have no idea. I don't know how he could be redshirted either. He's been playing since 2019.
Who are you talking about as a redshirt then?
Jaden Davis. Jaden Davis is redshirted. His parents basically came out and said that he's not playing this season, even if they wanted him to play, because they don't want him to risk injury and blah, 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 blah. I understand. It's, but.
Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of the kid. Oh, that's who we were talking about last year.
Yeah,
You
he was
don't
like the number
expect him
2
to
or number
play?
3 quarterback in the class,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he's the number 35 guy on ESPN right now.
35 player, but I believe he was like number 2 or number 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Orgy's in the end zone. I want to see 2 or 3 of them this week. Why can't they get the tush push going with him? He's big enough.
I'm just confused at hearing you talk right now, man. That's not football. It's exactly what we laugh and joke about.
I laugh and joke about it until it works. Until it works for my team.
Dude,
I'm laughing about it.
A fucking quarterback like he's a running back. I didn't hear you one time, not one fucking time, talk about a pass, dude.
Who's he going to throw?
Runs up the middle.
For one, who's he going to throw the ball? Who's he going to throw the ball to?
Listen, I'm just saying, we ain't winning no fucking football game, dude. Like
their offense can't be much different.
I'm on. You know what? I'm gonna be the negative Nancy on Michigan.
Yeah, not
especially after hearing that, bro. Like the best thing we got is running up the middle with a quarterback.
No. I said hand it off or run around the corner, run around the end. That should be a running team.
Hand
it off,
hand it off
the gut,
and run around the edges.
Yeah, you play to your strengths.
Just run.
Yeah, honestly,
just fucking run. That's because of the.
Well, let's be honest. They don't have
none
a play
of that
action.
Team's here, by the way.
They don't have a play action. Yeah, they don't have a play action. But
well, apparently they can't throw the ball either. How are we winning a fucking football game?
Hey, man, you did that. Well, defense.
Fuck, we lost Rod Moore. That's the end of it. That's the end of the whole defense. We got one interception, I think.
You want to know what the problem with the defense is too, though? I said this earlier. The fucking guy blitz the new Wink Martindale. He blitzes like 60%. That's too much. You let that. You have to. If you have the best defensive line on paper, not saying they do have the best defensive line, but as far as NFL prospects go, they've got 3 of the top 15 defensive linemen in college football on their D line. And guess what?
Yeah.
They blitz. Guess what? They know it's coming. They blitz a safety. Guess where that guy goes? Right over the top. And 90% of the time in college, you always say fastest man wins.
If you're buying a ticket, if you're looking for the ticket to my train, right? Like the train I'm on that comes for this Michigan season, it's the front office decided that we weren't going to be a good football team. And as a fan, you should just understand that. And I'm okay with it at this point. I've seen the product on the field. Week 1, week 2, week 3. We're a good football team. We're not a great football team. And any team that has playoff hopes is going to beat our ass.
I did not give them any. I did not give them a chance to beat Texas at all. I called that game. I thought they'd lose by 20, and they lost by 19. So
I was 1 week too early on the Peyton Manning era in Texas. There's a lot going on in Texas, by the way, and there's a lot to talk about.
You guys need to settle down with them playing Texas Tech or Texas State or whatever the hell team they played last week. Anybody would have looked great against that crappy defense. Yeah, he's going to be good, but wait till he plays a legit defense in the SEC before you start talking about it. He plays a Georgia or an Alabama defense and lights one of those up. I'm excited to see what he is because he did break all of the other Manning's records at their high school. He's an incredible, phenomenal athlete. I just hope
I think
they don't.
10 for 12 or 12 for 15?
Yeah, and the dude's freaking. The dude's got legs. Dude's got legs.
Yeah, and he's accurate as fuck and can put the ball where it belongs, whereas wide receivers need to put. I'll wait, but there's. Who was just talking about it? It's a really good wide receiver. Anyways, he was asked, like, when did you realize you had taken your quarterback for granted, right? And I think it was like Joe Montana or something. But anyways, great quarterbacks put the ball where their wide receiver isn't going to get hit. Like, we've heard this many times, right? You've heard this numerous times.
Yeah, we've heard it in the NFL plenty of times.
Manning puts the ball where his receivers don't get hurt this early in his career. That's fucking crazy. I don't care if it's a good defense or a terrible defense. right? That ball placement. That's what I was witnessing. And I think it's going to be fucking crazy to see. I hope you're right, because I don't.
A lot of
I'm
those
just
throws,
saying,
those guys were wide fucking open. Yeah, there was a couple in there that were pretty impressive, but it's like I
Yeah.
said, I want to see it against the 5 stars defense. I don't want to see it against a bunch of 2 stars.
I'm the
We said the
biggest
same thing
quarterback-
about Caleb Williams until he played
I'm
against
one of the-
Houston
I'm
and he
one
got
of the
sacked
biggest-
7 fucking times. So I mean, you were 100% right on that one, by the way. You're like, wait till he plays a good defense. He's got sacked 7 fucking times and turned the ball over 3. You
Should
know,
have been 4. Yeah, he had 3 interceptions.
and obviously this isn't really even a comparison because I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think he's still going to light him up regardless. But do you think he gets his starting job back?
Listeners of the show know that I am a very big quarterback critic.
Yeah,
right? There are things that I look for specifically. When I see them, I get excited, and that's Manning, and it's crazy. If I was,
can I ask you a question?
I'd be selling my soul to the football gods.
Do you think Do you think Ewers gets his job back when he comes back off? You think he gets his job back?
Yes.
If Texas is averaging 48 points a game and they're going into the SEC,
do we know how long the injury?
I believe he's out for 2 to 3 weeks. I think.
Okay.
I thought it was lower leg injury. I can't remember what it was.
I mean,
he's out for a couple weeks, but I don't know who they play. Let's see who they play. That's going to tell you whether or not he plays.
I'm not even worried about who you're looking that up.
I'm just out of curiosity. That's all.
Yeah, you're looking that up. The explanation behind
he'll definitely play the next 2 weeks. You've got University of Louisiana Monroe, and you've got Mississippi State. And then they are at home versus Oklahoma. Yeah, he'll play until they play Oklahoma, because then after Oklahoma's Georgia. Yeah, Ewers will be back. But if he does struggle against Georgia, I don't think they hesitate putting him in, to be honest with you. What you saw, you're like, you have now.
It's so scenario.
It's going to be interesting. Let's just say that.
Because it's okay. Obviously, if Manning isn't playing great, but you got to look at a scenario also where if plays that can't be done with Ewers are being done well with Manning, and these plays are allowing other players that wouldn't normally be in the mix to get in the mix, you may end up cutting in the locker room a rapport by going back to Ewers in that scenario. But
if he does lose his job, guess who's going to be in the transfer portal next year?
Yeah.
So
she should go to the NFL regardless.
Ewers?
If he loses his job or not? Yeah, absolutely. Dude, to start that, before he got hurt, he had the best odds to win the Heisman. Yeah,
they're not that great of stats. 8 touchdowns, 2 picks, 600 yards.
Don't yell at me. Dude.
I'm telling you, Ray. I'm gonna tell you something right now. Kyle McCord from Syracuse is going to be in the Heisman candidate conversation. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but he's going to be in it. I think he's got 11 touchdowns and 1 interception or some shit. He's freaking balling out at Syracuse.
If you go look at Cam Ward's stats.
Who?
Cam Ward.
Who the hell's that?
For Miami. Yeah, go look at his stats.
I want to, when they play somebody, I'll look. It's ACC.
Yeah. This is college fucking football. We ain't gonna see anybody play anybody unless you're one of those 4 fucking schools we talked about already. You're only gonna see it when it comes to the playoff. The Heisman has nothing to do with fucking playoffs. This kid is balling, bro. He is balling.
Okay, I read that wrong. I was like, holy shit, he can't have 50 touchdowns already. I was like, 3 weeks. I was at 11. Yeah, 11 and 1.
Is he on pace for 50?
No, his long is 50.
Oh, yeah. Was he 11 and 1 right now?
Considering the fact that they only ran the ball freaking 40 times this year. Yeah, they're air raid. They just throw the ball.
You can pick it apart all you fucking want. I'm just telling you the odds makers right now, man. And Cam Ward is up there. I think now after this week, Archie's moved up to 15, I believe, if I remember that correctly. And You can't fight the odds makers, dude. It is what it is. And these writers are terrible for the most part, bro.
Oh yeah, it's weird. It's just weird, though.
The people with votes are fucking weird, man. Everyone knows the Heisman should have went to fucking Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I know.
The Heisman should have went to Aiden Hutchinson, but they were so terrified of another Peyton Manning situation, Peyton Manning and Desmond Howard situation, or Charles Woodson. I'm sorry, but it would fuck them all. I don't even care. It's so frustrating. But it is what it is. And listen, we saw that Texas team play, and as much as it hurts the fan in you out loud, looking at that team on the sideline, I was watching Michigan last year. And I was watching Georgia 2 years before that, and Alabama a few years before that, right? There is a look when it comes to a championship team. There is a vibe, a feeling from the one fucking end zone to the other, from the sideline all the way back to the fucking last fan up in the stands, right? It is an energy. And that energy right now is coming from Texas. It's not coming from Georgia. It's not coming from Ohio State. It's not coming from like any other school.
Yeah, but that is
like Miami
gauntlet
and
to go
Texas.
through, to go into an Alabama or into a Georgia. Those are incredibly difficult places to win. So if they do come out of that, if they come out of the SEC with I'm going to say it, even like one loss, like maybe they lose one game. I'm not saying that's going to be the end of their season. I'm saying they're the dead on favorite if they come out with one loss.
I agree with
you. Hands down. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. What I was getting at is Texas has arguably been preparing themselves for this. They've been playing teams like Alabama and Georgia for the last few years, getting ready to come into the SEC. Texas has been doing it right. I wish Paul was in here. I don't say a lot of great things about his teams lately. So,
wow, they really avoid a lot of teams this year, though. The toughest teams they play the rest of the season are Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas A&M. Dang, they avoided a lot. They got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way.
And we can poke fun at that all we want. We can. And we can tell you're a bitch or a pussy all we want. But the bottom line is, when it comes down to the playoff committee, the way Texas looks and their schedule, as we can say,
that's why they're ranked the number one team in the country right now. They beat the pants off Michigan, and then they went in and carried business last week.
The third largest football stadium in the world, and basically said, we're not paying rent. It's maybe that's why I'm high on them, and maybe the exact opposite effect of what's happening to you is happening to me with them. But I'm watching these other teams around the country play right now, Patrick, and name a better school.
What's that right now? A better school? I would say Ohio State is probably on pace with them. As far Ohio State doesn't look like they're missing a beat as far as what they've been doing the last 4 years. But we know what happened. We know who's coaching over there. It's Ryan Day.
Regardless of the last 4 years and the last 3 weeks of football. And I don't care that Ohio State didn't play this week, whatever. Ohio State has not looked great. They look like they spent a lot of money, but they don't look great. Offensively, they have a huge question at quarterback. They really do.
I mean, Tennessee's looked really Tennessee's looked really good too.
Tennessee's looked good.
Tennessee has looked really good. These are Tennessee scores: 69-3, 51-10, and 71-0. I don't care who you played. I don't care who you played.
That's the scores I look for good football teams.
They beat the NC State was ranked 24th. They beat them 51-10. That's a beatdown. And they play Oklahoma this week. And if they score 50 on Oklahoma, oh boy, that offense is good.
Really nice. Yeah. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very.
But yes, the best team and the best team hands down in college football right now, without even question, is Texas. And Texas just played last week with Arch Manning, and he hadn't even thrown a pass yet. And what did he do? Just went out there and completely looked like he was friggin' Mr. Wisner, just throwing darts everywhere.
Yeah, 10 for 12 or 12 for 15, 2 something.
He could have been 12 for 20. Those 12 passes that he did complete were 100% where they needed to be, like you said. Yeah.
No, it is. It's gonna be interesting. Oh, I thought Saquon was hurt. Falcons are putting up a fight in this game. It's going to be a great conversation.
I'm telling you, man, they don't want to go down 0-2. All right, we can break down one thing. What's your biggest impression from the NFL so far this season? Is it more so that the Baltimore Ravens are 0-2, or the fact that the Chargers are 2-0.
I guess it would have to be the Baltimore, because I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked hearing that Harbaugh is 2-0. It's just Harbaugh is the type of guy who gets 110 out of everyone. It doesn't. You're a 3-star and you play like a 4. You're a 4-star, you play like a 5. That's just Harbaugh gets the best out of you 100% of the time. It's one of the greatest coaches I've seen really in a long time.
Their schedule hasn't been anything impressive. They won 2 games that I think everybody probably thought they should have won. They should have beat the Panthers, but the Raiders game was a toss up because you didn't know what you were going to get.
Especially how the Raiders just beat.
They just beat Baltimore. Yeah.
They just beat Baltimore. Yeah. The Chew, man, Gardner Minshew. Yeah, that'll be fun to talk about come tomorrow's cast. It is. It's wild. I don't really understand it. The injuries, it seems chaotic. The NFL does.
Well, I mean, you got next week. What do you have here? The Ravens got to go to Dallas. I mean, the schedule just doesn't get. Granted, Dallas got stomped by New Orleans, but it's almost winter go home for Dallas at this point, even though they're 1-1, because they did not look good. They did not look good against New Orleans at all, which is a very big surprise to me. It's like they weren't ready to play.
Yeah, we'll hit that list tomorrow too. Probably start the show off talking about the 0-2 teams.
Yeah, we could get a list together. Surprises and not so much surprises.
I think that would be hilarious. Oh, the Falcons are doing a really good job stopping the run. That's crazy. What's your biggest college? Well, Andrew, what's your biggest college football takeaway from the weekend?
Biggest college football takeaway?
Yeah.
I would say the fact that these teams the Notre Dame thing is killing me. The fact that they only dropped them like 5 or 6 spots. I think they still got them like 10th, like 11th or 12th in the coaches poll. I don't get it. Notre Dame is not a good football team. I guess they're a good football team, like you said, because I guess we can't say Michigan's a good football team and then say Ohio State or Notre Dame is shit. Yeah, they're a good football team, but man, they get way too much credit for not doing anything. That's my big takeaway. I'm sick of it.
It looks like the AP 25 has Notre Dame at 17 and Michigan at 18.
Yeah.
And the coaches poll has Notre Dame at 18 and Michigan at 17.
Yeah, and Michigan got beat by the best team in the country at home. But yeah, they lost by 19. But you take away that 155-yard run, and that was a 24-12 game. They still got their ass kicked, but it was like, yeah. It was expected. It was expected.
Yeah, the top 25 round out at this point. You got Texas number 1, Georgia number 2, Ohio State number 3. They don't even play a football game in the Alabama, Ole Miss. Yeah, Tennessee's up there, number 6. Tennessee's looking good. Miami, Oregon, yeah, they're all looking real good.
You even got Penn State. Penn State was another one of those Big Ten teams, along with USC, that had a bye last week.
Yeah. That's so weird, man.
And they do have Notre Dame behind Michigan in the coaches, but they have them ahead of them in the AP top 25, and they lost to Northern Illinois. Oh, man. Talk about spite. They just want to do that for spite.
I've never understood the Notre Dame love. I don't think I ever will, to be honest.
There's been a couple of years where they were better, but for the most part, they were always behind Michigan.
Yeah. Is there any game you're looking forward to next week?
I'm looking forward.
I guess this upcoming week. You said that kid at Syracuse. What was his name there? Didn't he used to play at Ohio State?
Yeah, Kyle McCord is doing very well.
Yeah, they play Stanford on Friday. I might catch that game.
I'm looking forward to the Tennessee-Oklahoma game. It's the only top 25 matchup. Utah, Oklahoma State. I think both these teams are going to drop down into the low 20s or by the end of the season. They're just all going to beat up on each other in the Big 12.
Yeah,
But yeah.
Illinois and Nebraska play on Friday too.
Oh yeah. That's tomorrow, Friday game. Yeah, I got Nebraska coming out of that one at home. I'm assuming it's gonna be a 27 to maybe 17 game or something. 31-21 game.
USC at Michigan. That's at 2:30.
Correct.
Notre Dame plays Miami of Ohio. I bet they lose that game.
Miami of Ohio?
Yeah. Miami of Ohio. Yeah,
They haven't won a football game all year, and Northwestern beat them. It might be a tough task for Miami to upset Notre Dame, but weirder things have happened.
Get their first win of the game. Or first win of the season. Iowa, Minnesota. That's not going to be any good. Yeah. I think you and I are on the same page here, broski. I think we're looking forward to about the same games. Army plays Rice. Go Army, beat Rice. That'll be fun to watch.
I always love catching those games in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Especially when they play on like a Thursday or a Friday night. Those are always the fun ones.
Yeah. Hell yeah. The kick is up and good. At this point in the podcast, the Eagles are on the Falcons, 7-3. All right, you got anything else you wanted to bring to the table?
No, I think we'll touch on her tomorrow.
Yeah. Big show coming up tomorrow. That'll be exciting. Huge week of football yet again. I think it's hilarious that Don, dude, for the Eagles, who now has a coaching title, is in like as many TV shots as possible.
Does he flex too on the sidelines? Is he over there doing the thing with the arms crossed? He's doing like the Herc.
Yeah, he was super excited. They just scored that touchdown. It was super funny. For all of our listeners out there, again, thank you for sticking with us for another show. It was fantastic. It's a beautiful world out there and filled with many beautiful people, and you inviting us into whatever part of your day you're listening to us. That's fantastic. We appreciate it greatly. Thank you so much for being you. The world is a much better place with you in it, and we love you more.